Hello, everybody. Sorry, start off by putting my teeth in would be a good help. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Poetry of Painting. Great to have you on board, whether you're watching live or on replay. It's brilliant to have you along. Do feel free to put comments and questions on, get involved with us. That would be really brilliant. And if it's on replay, we'll do our best to get back to you after, as soon as we can after we've seen your comments. So this week, it's my great pleasure to welcome back to the show my wonderful guest poet, Oscar Nicholson. So just bear with me. Oscar, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you doing? Are you still up in Durham at the moment?
I am, staying here for another week. Just finished my first term this year at uni, third year now. So in my house.
Good. And that's all going well, I hope.
Yeah, it's nice to be properly back to normal because, as you all know, last year wasn't really a uni experience and we've all been through stuff. So it's nice to just have some genuine life again.
So you've actually been having face-to-face lectures and things this time?
Most I'd say 90% in person. The odd, if the lecture's vulnerable or whatever, they'll do it online, which is fine. It's a nice hybrid. But what is good is actually they'll always release a follow-up lecture online. So if for whatever reason you can't go, you've got both options, which I think is the way it should be anyway.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, maybe is that something new then? That's a benefit that's come out of having lockdown?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because in my first year, probably unique to, I do English literature, so the department was very keen on its intellectual property, which so a lot of lecturers would say, I'm not going to record this because for whatever reason. So if you missed a lecture, you missed a lecture, which now they've had to swallow their pride because they can't. And so they record all their lectures now, which is good, I think.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Well, it makes it a lot easier for you, if you were feeling ill or something one day, you know that you can still catch up, can't you, as well? So
exactly,
really good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, we've got somebody watching. Hello, welcome, whoever you are. Can't see who you are on the thing. It doesn't tell me, but welcome anyway. So this week, we have both written poems about a painting of mine, and all that Oscar knew about this painting was the title, which is Sheltered Valley. It's the one over my right shoulder here. And it's actually, unusually for me, it's in acrylic on canvas as opposed to oils, which is my favorite medium and the one I normally use. And it's 60 by 60 centimeters. And so that's the painting. As I say, Oscar hasn't been told anything else about the painting as yet.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to read your poem for us, Oscar, I'm dying to hear it.
I would be honoured. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ending our numb trudge below these slopes, we arrive as vacuums, stuffed with inertia, dragging our baggage of drains upon spineless hopes, stubborn, completed, set on empty stasis, set to ignore the squirming of our parched organs, endure and relish the salivating, the rumbling, the craving, the lapping towards nothing. A hollow hole again. Rest at last, a cell barred against pain. Dreams have spiraled from memory. Illusions merge with awakened observations as we see, allow ourselves to see, the odorous breeze that sweeps this porous scene, the intangible murmurs wafting from pine to eye, weaving their thread through trees, souls, and reeds. Distant summits entice our feelings up. Deep within the intestinal knots stirs an upward pulse, a sudden thrust fettering our gaze to an illusory peak. Shards, rays, flurries of fogged glimpses provide the paint, the wind, the soothing balm, caressing our senseless nerves to sculpt companions upon the solitude. Rooted passive to the earth, our eyes regained this central perspective, primed again to channel an unknown, welcome vision. We arrived as vacuums, stuffed with inertia, dragging our baggage of drains upon spineless hopes. We leave as vessels, filled with forces, lugging our cargo of hopes upon bolstered backs. Thank you.
Wow.
That's it.
That's lovely. I love that the whole idea that you've come in like that, but you're leaving with so much more. And some fantastic phrases and
thank you.
Picture imagery in that. just amazing. It's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. That's all just from my painting.
Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful painting, and that's why. So
thank you.
I'm sure we can talk more about my process of it once we've heard yours. So
okay, right. Well, mine is called Sheltered Valley, not surprisingly. So here we go. Very different from yours, but we are different people. We are different poets. So
exactly.
Good. Right. So walk with me in this tranquil, sheltered valley, nestled in the lee of the towering massif. Feel the grasses brush against your knee and sense change coming as autumn passes. The golden meadow, now crisp and dry, caressed by the breeze, it ripples and flows. Rugged lilac mountains reaching to the sky, dusted with the first of the winter snows. The air has an edge, a new, colder bite, as it seeps down from the ice-bound peaks. Morning mists clear to crystal-sharp light as balmy autumn beats a hasty retreat. It's a refuge from the worst of the weather, protected by its guardians, silent and strong, where animals shelter and gather together, a haven where winter can be cruel and long. Admire for now these richly glowing hues before winter imposes its icy palette. Warm golds replaced by greys and blues, the valley clothed in its seasonal jacket.
Beautiful. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I take that as a massive compliment.
Oh, well, likewise. And I think what's really interesting is you said they're very different, and they are, because we write very differently and pay attention to very different things. But I think there are themes in there, and words actually. Caressing, I think, was one that seriously overlap. The idea of change, of being positioned between seasons, which you really got across, and this idea of a soothing landscape. Mine was very much coming from a stubborn position, which that's just, sometimes I'm a bit cynical. Sometimes that's how I view the world, and leaving refreshed. Yours had more of a yours had that refreshing, but it was almost like there was a welcoming air to it, which I think was really, really nice.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Wow. That's an amazing critique. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And, you know, I still feel very much like a novice poet because painting is my main, you know, art. So, but I've definitely enjoyed doing these poems and these shows with the poets. And it's just so enlightening. And, you know, just hearing such different styles and different phrases, different words, different ideas, you know, sort of so much painted in words. It's like, you know, like I paint with paint and you paint with words. It's beautiful. So
my one question would be this, a general thing. And when you come to do these shows or whatever, do you, when you're writing the poem, do you try and replicate in your head the creative process of making the painting, or do you try and distance yourself from that and make it separate?
I think I don't think it's actually quite either end of that sort of line. I think it's more that I'm trying to feel what the painting's saying to me, as well as how I felt when I painted it, and what I felt about the original scene from which it was taken. Because, for example, some paintings they may have a bit from one scene that, you know, from my travels and sketches and photographs, and they may have a bit from another scene. Like the one last week on the show, I loved the foreground. I loved the mountains in two separate photographs and sketches, but I didn't want those, you know, the mountains and foreground from one together. So I swapped the mountains from one to the other, sort of thing. So it's not even necessarily how I felt when I was in one place. It could be the merging of the impressions from two scenes that have made up one painting, as it were, as well. So it's yeah,
I think that's beautiful. So it gives you a really I think unique, and I don't know when you painted this, and I'll ask you in a bit, but like having that sort of that dual period of reflection. You've got the period, like you've got that beauty of hindsight, of knowing what happens after this, how you've gone on since you painted it, how you felt at the time versus now, and looking back at it retrospectively gives you a very, very unique perspective on it, on your own piece of creative art, if that makes any sense. So when did you paint this, and what was the scenario?
This one I painted in August, I think it was. I run a small art group up at Selsdon in Surrey, and because of COVID and lockdown and everything, first of all, we didn't meet during that time, but since then we'd been reluctant to book demonstrators and people because it's quite expensive, and we don't want to suddenly mess people around. Actually, we can't have the meeting this month after all, and cancel the booking. So we'd not had anybody do a demonstration so far this year until that point, and they said, can you do us a demonstration? Well, okay. But also they said could I do it in acrylics? They'd really like that. Whereas normally I work in oils, which is definitely my favorite. It's very versatile. I mean, acrylic's very versatile as well, but it's different. So this one is actually acrylics, which I say it's a rarity for me, but I did enjoy doing it. And you can use retarders with acrylics to make them stay wet for longer and workable. But I didn't use that approach for this one. And, if I needed to change something, I'd just paint over it because it dries quite quickly. You do get a little bit of time where you can change stuff, but otherwise it's just paint on top of it. If you need to add more on top again. It's quite flexible in that respect.
I think there's something really, I think it was good that you didn't use the retarders. Well, not good, but I think it's very interesting because by using acrylics and then sticking to that medium, and something you might not be as comfortable in, doesn't show because it's brilliant, but and that's sort of in a way like kind of the self-limiting that can be really creative with like a poem, for example, picking a structure, picking a theme, picking a form that you could branch out from if you've given yourself free creative freedom. But by limiting your medium and saying, right, I'm going to stick to this acrylics, try something different and do what I can within that, it's a very good way of channeling your creativity, I think. And that really,
and it makes you think, okay, how do I do this bit without doing it in a way that I'm more used to doing.
Exactly.
So in fact, with oils, I normally use a knife to paint now, which is this one, which is my latest painting, which is actually on gold leaf. So where you can see the reflections here, that's the light
beautiful
on the gold leaf behind it. So I had the gold leaf all over the canvas to start with, and then paint on top with the oils. And that's, as I say, using a knife to paint with that. But with acrylics, I just don't get on with using a knife with acrylics because I find it just dries a little too fast. So I went back to brushes for this one. And it was good fun. I really did enjoy it. And painting for an audience, you've got that feedback and the questions, and I just really enjoy it. It's not that I'm, oh, look at me, I'm the big painter, and it's just the interaction with them, and and the comments and the questions, and trying to impart experience and knowledge that I've gained as how I work. Not necessarily this is the way you do it, because there's so many different ways to use oils, to use acrylics, to paint. It's just trying to pass on some knowledge and experience, if I can, that I've benefited from seeing so many other people demonstrate, and even in a different medium that I may not use, you can normally find something to take away from it, whether it's a color combination or a way of the contrast between certain lights and darks, or different colors, or just the way of maybe adding some shadows that just like really nails it. And you can take something from it, even as I say, even if it's a completely different medium. I don't normally do watercolor, but I can still learn from watching somebody who does and incorporate something from that, so
and I think there's something really interesting to say. I'm just thinking about how this painting, and by extension our poems, would be different if this had been oil or whatever, and maybe the knife. Because I think what I really loved about the painting was and it's fascinating to know that you use brushes, because that's very clear, especially the trees. I'm no painting analyst, by the way. I'm an art novice, so please correct me. But
I'm a poet novice, so
well, and I think we both came across the idea of a breeze, and the breeze really comes across in how you've made the trees. They swaying. It's quite impressionistic, and the sense of transition I think is carried on there. Which, if it had been maybe the knife carved more with more solid outlines, that may have given a different impression. So I think it's really cool how that works, and how we both drew on that.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to keep it a little bit looser, rather than being too defined, because I think it gives people more interest. You know, they can look at it one time and see something, and then they look another time and see something different. But when everything's all there for you in great detail, there's nothing left to the imagination so much.
Exactly, and that's exactly how I try to write as well, with my selection of words and phrases, because I just think it's a bit not lazy. It's a bit boring, I think, from poetry to just prescribe meaning, if you know what I mean, and say. I think because there's just, with every word you choose in the English language, I think I said this last time I was on, there's infinite ways that it can be interpreted. And I think I don't think personally, and I agree this isn't a universally held opinion, but it's just how I like art and poetry and most mediums, is like there should always be something pushing out of it, and something that goes beyond the page or whatever, and like some of the calls for interpretation rather than prescribes it, or limits it down. So a lot of my and I'm still experimenting with that, and how to I've only started writing poetry this year, so like how to communicate that. But I think that's very cool how in the painting as well, how I could come back to this painting tomorrow and see something completely different, as could you, and you painted it. So, and that's very much what I try to capture in poems. But
absolutely, and your poetry is just it makes you so, think and imagine, and it's not just hearing the words, it's triggering all these different ideas and thoughts.
That means a lot, because that's what I try to do. But
well, it does, it works, for me. And also, if I hear that poem again, which I will, because I'll listen to it again, and hopefully I'll be able to read it as well, which will be a different experience again, reading it from hearing it. I'll probably pick up on different things next time. Which will trigger different ideas. So because
there is some stuff with this poem that I'm doing quite consciously with punctuation, which is hard to really. I tried to convey it in the reading process, and that comes across. But like, there are some things which would be like, it's reading it is a different thing, as you said. So
yes, well, thank you so much for writing that about my painting. That was just
no worries.
So good. So tell us what else you've been doing at the moment. I believe you've been on the stage.
I have been. Well, so amateur stuff. Just acting is what I want to do, and it's something I really enjoy. So this term, it was nice to get back on stage. That was possibly the best thing about returning out of lockdown. Was last year didn't get the chance to do that, and I think that really cemented for me how much I missed being on stage and whatever, and films or whatever, because it was just, there's nothing you can really replicate. So this term we did a production of The History Boys, which was good. We did that last week. Took a lot of time out of my term, sacrificed my degree a little bit, but it's fine. This term didn't matter for anything, so we're doing okay. I'll catch up next term. But so we luckily got some very positive reviews, which was really humbling, and it was really surreal and nerve-wracking to be back in front of an audience. But it's like there's nothing that quite comes close to it. So
absolutely,
looking forward to doing more this year. It's my last real chance to do it at university. So
so have you got any plans to go on from there to anywhere in particular to
I don't know.
The drama?
That's the thing which I'm struggling for right now. A lot of my mates have got plans for next year, doing masters, trying for drama school, getting jobs, and I'm just like sitting here like, what am I going to do? But I don't know. It's a hard one, because I know I want to. Acting's what I love doing, but I don't know if the traditional route of drama school is A, feasible, because I know how difficult it is, and B, that sort of hyper traditional school of acting is not really something that I'm too interested in. I prefer TV and film as a medium in general. As a generalization, I love stage, but in general, I'm not too sold by the idea of classical training, really.
Right.
which again, I know might be quite naive, and a lot of people will justifiably disagree with me, and it is right for some people, but I don't think it's necessarily going to help me out. But I honestly don't know. Like, I'm saying this stuff without a feasible alternative to give, so I'm aware that I'm as ignorant as anyone. So my short answer is I really should know, but I don't.
Well, it's it's important to take the time to get it right for you. And what's right for one person is definitely not going to be right for everybody. So as you say, the classical training may suit some people really well, but for you, if it's not right, then you'd be wasting your time and someone else's time by doing it, wouldn't you? So
exactly. And I know a lot of my best friends at uni who I act with and stuff are just like phenomenal actors, and I watch them, I'm like, wow, you guys, this is the curse of acting, but like, you guys are just so talented, and you want it more than me. You're so suited for this stuff. You're like, I think you're way better than me. So just like, and I see them auditioning, I'm like, wow, because if you can't, because drama school is ridiculously competitive, and you have to stand out within a massive group of people, and it's so it's hard to, it's quite a confidence draining endeavor.
But don't you think we always think other people are far better than us?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely.
I look at other people's paintings and I think, wow, I love that.
It's the curse of art, isn't it?
But I think we, or most of us, think that everybody else is better than we are normally. So it's so don't. You need to have faith in yourself on that one. You do your best. They may be looking at you thinking, oh God, I wish I could do that. Wish I could, write like that, perform like that. So, you just got to have faith in you. Go for it.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
No, thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh dear. So, very deep.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I'm still young.
Yes.
And I've got loads of options up my sleeve, which I'm very lucky to have. So I'll find something, and what it is, we'll wait and see. But I'm taking my time, which I think is the right thing. But yeah. And so, do you want to talk about your very exciting prospect of a book, which I've heard a lot about?
The book, yeah.
The book.
The one and only, yes. Well, actually, it'll be my second book because I did do a book of my heart before. I think I've just about got enough material now. So I'm asking you and my other poets to do a little bio for yourself so that people will be able to read a little bit about you in the book as well. And then I just need to work out what's going to be my best option for the publishing. Whether it's self-publishing, whether it's, I know some of my poets have already used different publishers to have their books printed. So I will speak with them and, maybe have a chat with a publisher or two as well, just to find out what's going to be best. I think print on demand would be really nice, but, obviously I have an order to start with because, I'll be wanting to, hopefully sell some, but also give some more. Oh, and I've booked to do an art fair next year.
Lovely. Okay.
In September. So it would be amazing if I could have the book ready by then. So that's what I'm hoping. Maybe ambitious, but it should be doable.
Well, if you aim for that and then you fall slightly short, you still made massive progress. So
absolutely. But I think, I like a deadline. It focuses me because it's all too easy when life's always so hectic. It's all too easy to think, oh, well, I've got that time to do that yet. And then all of a sudden that time's here and it goes.
Yes. I completely agree.
Put my deadlines in for, far enough in advance of the art fair, for example, to have the work done and to allow for time for printing and whatever, then, I need those deadlines in my plan. To make sure that I get this done, and it does focuses me. So
I'm the exact same because I have a real tendency to, my brain sprawls around a lot and makes loads of links, which is which I really enjoy doing. But when it comes to essays or poems or whatever it is, having a deadline is just what I need. Because if I think I have too much time, I'll start the project too early. I'll just make this massive, broad plan of everything I could say, and then end up just not writing anywhere near what I want and getting disappointed. So it's nice to just focus yourself, filter through all the mess, and just go for it.
Yeah, because as well, if you get it done, early, you've still then got the opportunity to edit or read, rather than, as you say, if you spend too long on something, sometimes it can, like a painting, spend too long on a painting sometimes, and it can get overworked, and you lose that energy that you have at the start, and the whole meaning behind the painting. You can lose sight of it if you're working on it, or from my point of view anyway. I can. I do paint reasonably quickly, and I like that because I feel it keeps a lot more energy in the work. So rather than it getting too detailed, too tightened up.
I'm the exact same with how I write. So I tend to do something very similar in that I will, when I want to write something, whether it's on one of your paintings or just an idea, I'll just write spontaneously and not give any thought really to how it sounds, how it's structured, whatever, because I know I'll come back to it. So I usually write something, let it sprawl out, and then I know that won't be my finished poem, but at least I've got ideas out there on the page from which to work. And then often I'll give it a break, come with the fresh eyes, tweak it, write again. And having that dual perspective is really, really helpful, I think. It frees you and means you come back to it as well.
Yes, yeah. The same with a painting, leave it for a little bit, come back and look at it, hopefully, without it being too long in between, as I say, because you don't want to start losing that inspiration that you had. And sometimes you do just come back and think, oh, why did I do it that way? That doesn't quite work, and change it. But I don't like to tamper with them too much once they're finished, because I feel I'm losing something then. So
yeah, and also there's no end to how much you can tamper. You could just go for years.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Francis Bacon. He took years over some of his paintings, and they got exceedingly thick, the paint on them as well. Fantastic artist and brilliant paintings, but he just took forever over them. And but he did retain a freshness in them, I think, to my eye anyway. But yeah, that's extreme, I think.
Yeah, I think striving for perfections are kind of useless. Not useless, that's the wrong word. A kind of just a futile endeavor that you'll never really succeed in, and just like accepting that things will never be complete or perfect in your eyes.
Yes, yeah.
And allowing other people to see it. Exactly, and
also perfection, could it be a bit boring sometimes?
Very boring. I think so. Perfection is overrated. I don't like it.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for good enough being actually good enough.
100%.
Rather than trying to push it and then losing something because you've tried to push it too far and tried to get it perfect, and it can never be perfect, because to be perfect, everybody would have to agree that it was perfect.
Yes.
But in art, in poetry, in literature, nobody is going to agree. You won't get everybody agreeing that one thing is perfect. So
100%.
In that case, if it's perfect for one person but not for others, then it's not perfect, is it? So it'll never happen. So I think we have to do our very best, be happy with what we've done, but not worry about perfection. It's a stress that we don't need to put on ourselves, because it's unattainable, really, isn't it? So
exactly. And there's something so much more organic and raw in something that is striving for the best they can do, but it's just an unfiltered expression, really.
Absolutely.
Whatever medium that is.
Oh, I agree, definitely. I hate to say this, but yet again, our half hour is almost up.
It's flown by. Wow.
It really has. We could go on talking for hours, I'm sure, but we might just lose some of our we've got some people watching at the moment. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
But it's been absolutely fabulous having you on the show again, Oscar. Really enjoyed it. Love your poem. Thank you so much for writing it about my painting. which I forgot to put big on the screen earlier for people to see it close up.
That's
but
fine.
It's there
Yeah.
now. So I'm actually going to take a short break over the festive season. I'd like to start doing some work on the book and investigating that, so that it can progress early in the new year. So I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back in the new year. Hopefully you'll all be able to join me then, starting again on Wednesday, the 5th of January, normal time, 7 p.m. I may do a couple of lives, but it won't be this show, but in the meantime. And I'll have another super guest with me then again to read you some more poems. So thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you so much, Oscar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody, including you, Oscar, stay safe. Have a good week. Have a fantastic Christmas, a brilliant new year, and a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2022 to follow. So thanks, everybody. Been fantastic having you tuning into the shows. More to come next year. And for now, it's bye from me, and it's bye from Oscar.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great time. Bye.